I'm going to do a combination of, hopefully this isn't too annoying to everybody, going through my slide deck, which isn't huge, only 15 slides, and then bouncing out and attempting to do a live demo, which is always kind of exciting and interesting. And as everybody knows, Copilot is awesome, but it also is a little cantankerous. So as I was preparing for this, it was kind of interesting, some of the results I was getting out there. So I will stand by my statement of you should be using Copilot because Copilot is the future, and that's where everything is kind of going, and that's what Microsoft is pushing and presenting, and things like that, and like was said earlier, if you haven't heard of Copilot, you might want to get out and look around every once in a while and pay attention to the news. But it's if you go to any Microsoft conferences, which I do a little bit, quite regularly, I guess. It's all they talk about, to the point where some of the MVPs and things that I know, they get tired of talking about it and they want to talk about different things. But we're going to talk about it today because it is a hot topic, and there's a lot to learn and see and find out there. So, second slide. Well, by the way, I am Scott Roller. I am a solutions architect with New Dynamic. We're in Kansas City, Missouri. We just got a foot of snow on the ground, so that was kind of exciting. Kids have been out of school for 2 days. Um, and here's my email if you want to reach out to me, and we can communicate that way. Along with, I think you already shared my LinkedIn and some other things, but reach out to me however you want to there. All right, moving on to our agenda. I did want to mention the release planner and bring that up real fast. That's where I get a lot of my information. And if you don't know about the release planner, that's another great place to find out about what's coming out, just been released, what the future plans for the new release are. I've spoken several times at conferences on what's coming out next. And that's kind of a really good a topic that people want to hear about, and I found a lot of success in presenting on that. So let's look at the. How do I get out of this? I don't want to stop presenting. Now that I'm in, now that I'm in Teams mode, how do I get out of Power Platform or PowerPoint and show something else?
I think you have to exit sharing,
I have to stop sharing.
Maybe try I believe
Okay.
so.
I
All
think
right,
you can hit the escape key on your screen or on your keyboard, and that will stop the presentation mode or out of PowerPoint.
There it is.
Okay. Escape. Okay.
Saw your screen for a second.
I'll try that next time. All right.
There we go.
There we go. So here is not what I want. Release planner. So release planner. If you're not familiar with this is why I'm sharing this, because this is huge amounts of information and very powerful to know. You can even build your own release plans out here, but I'll stay brief on this. You can investigate it on your own. If you go to releaseplans.microsoft.com, there's a whole section on Dynamics 365 and all the different areas of that you can get caught up on. And then they have a PowerPoint or a Power Platform section where they talk about, obviously Power Apps and Power Pages and Power Automate and the Microsoft Copilot Studio and all the good stuff that's there in the Power Platform. So that's my little spiel on the release planner. I may just make it simple and not go back into presenting Teams mode and kind of and just show it this way so I can bounce back and forth a little bit easier. All right, so our agenda, that was the release planner. We're going to get into Power Apps first, then we're going to move on to Power Automate. Then I'm going to talk about the Copilot Studio briefly, and then we'll end up with a brief overview of what's out there and coming up in Dynamics 365. My demo areas are going to concentrate on Power Apps and Power Automate early, and then we'll just kind of talk about things later on. So, and this isn't very clean now that I'm not in presenter mode. Let's go with, and that didn't work right either. All right, let's just stay here. I want to be bouncing around too much for it to make sense any other way. So we're going to use Copilot to build and edit apps in the Power App Studio. So we can use a lot of, almost all of, probably 80% or more, haven't done the calculation really, of Copilot is really natural language. So being able to enter something in natural language and get a result. Somebody mentioned earlier about the DAX, that they built a DAX statement just through natural language, and we can use that same functionality pretty much anywhere that we have Copilot. So we're going to show that here in a few minutes when we create and modify a Power App. Makers, so here's some of the straightforward prompts that are just kind of suggested that you can use. So you can add a button to the header, you can align things center, and you don't really need to know. I guess the whole point is you don't really need to know how to get to these functions and where to go in the menu to select these things. You just start entering things in natural language, and hopefully it knows what you're talking about and does it. I think we'll probably see a couple of examples where maybe it doesn't completely understand me, and that's part of the process as well. Before I go over there, I'm going to go through these 3 slides and then get back to my Power App demo. We can do express design, and this is cool. I've been looking at this in the last few weeks, and even today a little bit more, where we can auto generate Power Apps from an image or using Figma. And I haven't really I looked at the Figma a little bit, and I'll show that briefly, but I haven't had a chance to create one all the way from Figma. But I did play around with creating an app from an image, and it's interesting to say the least. And as you'll see, it's one of those things that they can probably improve on in the future. But I got one created, and we'll look at it. And then we'll look at a little bit about writing PowerFX, which is the formula language similar to what they use in Excel. I think it's a kind of Excel based, and what they use in Power Apps and Power Automate to write formulas. And so we'll look at creating those formulas using natural language. All right, so let me find my that one, sorry. Where did it go? Oh, wait. Yep, right here. Okay. And so that I don't forget what I was supposed to be talking about, I'll bounce this over here, keep my notes up. So we are in my developer instance of make.powerapps.com. If I go into apps, we can see some of the cool Copilot stuff right from the beginning. So I'm in the Maker portal. We have a Start with Copilot app experience, I guess is the right way to say that. So we can create an app directly from here using Copilot. And we can describe what we want to build with natural language that way. So that's how I'm going to start here. I created a couple earlier that we can use if this doesn't work as nicely as I would like, but I'm just to give away my premise early, we're going to talk about a carpet store inventory app that I created earlier, and I'm going to recreate now. So here we are in the create an app in the Copilot builder. And they'll give you some suggestions over here, things that you can do. But if we go over here to the Copilot on the right, normally I've noticed that Copilot's normally on the right. It might be other places, but in Power Apps, it's always, in my experience, over here on the right. So we want to, if I just start typing in, create a carpet store inventory app. And we say go. So it's going to sit here and it's going to work on it. It's going to think about it. It's going to say, hey, what do I know about a carpet store? and about inventory and different things like that. So what it's come back and it's built us a very quick table for carpet store inventory that has a carpet ID, carpet name and name of carpets. So somehow I went out and found what carpets are. So Copilot knows what carpet is, and some colors for this carpet, along with price and the quantity that we have in our inventory of the carpet. So what if we like this, but we want to add to our carpet inventory table, carpet store inventory table? We can do something like add a field for thickness and say go. It's going to think about it. And there we go. And it says our carpet inventory table has been updated. Can't see it on this page or right now on the screen. But if we scroll over, now we can see, hey, we got a thickness column. And Copilot was smart enough to know that, carpet is normally these types of thicknesses, and adds that. All right, one last thing I'm going to add here before we build this app, actually, because we won't spend too much time here, but we see that these carpets have these prices. Well, what if we want to sell to Europe? So let's say, I think this is how I did it before. If it doesn't, then it'll be an example of how it doesn't know what I'm talking about. But show prices in euros. And here we go. Where did it? Okay, named it currency code. So that's new. Oh, it did something different that I wasn't expecting. So it changed my dollars to euros. I guess I said something else last time that I did it. Maybe I added a column for euros. The last time I built this, it had a dollar column and then also a euros column. So let's take care of that. And
Prompt engineering live. You're gonna get some stuff's gonna be different.
Yep.
But it's pretty impressive already, I think.
Yeah. So here we go. I kind of want both in my example of having euros and dollars. So there we go. So now there we go. So we have two currency codes, one in dollars and one in euros. And I haven't done the math, but I thought it was interesting that I think it's probably correct. It's done the conversion between dollars and euros without me asking. So that was pretty impressive to me. That hey, it's sort of intelligent and kind of guessing what I would want from this. I guess that makes sense, though. You'd want to show the conversion, but it's just interesting that it knows what the conversion is and has done it. So with that said, let's create this app with a little bit of limited data there.
And just a quick question for you, Scott, that
Sure.
we got in the chat. Are you able to undo actions? Like, do you have to prompt it to like undo, or can you just in Power Apps go to like the last step?
Yeah, over there on the right, I didn't show it, and I can't go back now, but we'll see it here in a little bit. There is an undo button that you can use to undo that last step that you did.
Gotcha.
All right, so it doesn't take too long, but it's built our app for us, or at least it is still doing it, but it should be done here pretty soon. And I also experience, probably everybody else does, that things work slower when I have a Teams meeting going. All right, so I'm going to close down some of these sidebars so we can get more real estate. And I'm going to pump this up to, I don't know, maybe 70%. And now we have our carpet store inventory app. And we have over here on the right or the left, we have just kind of search and all of our products, all of our different carpets with their values. Over here on the right side, then, if I click on, well, I got to run it, don't I? Okay. Can't do that in the designer, but when I'm running this, then if I clicked on Oriental, then it's going to populate in the right the detail for Oriental. So for this Persian, we have the carpet name and the two currency codes. Probably want to rename those so we know which one is euros and which one is dollars if the symbol doesn't call it out for everybody. We have that quantity that we saw before, and the thickness and the carpet ID and the color, all here in the right side, our detail from our table. So if we want to start doing some things to change this, we could over here in Copilot, it has some suggestions. So we could add a text label if we wanted to, and it'll do that for us. We can add a gallery, we can add a button, we can add an email screen, or we can just start typing in random requests and see if it knows what we're talking about. I'm gonna choose the pre-configured add a button and add a button on this guy. All right, so we have a brand new button that went up top here, and it is just called button. Let's see if we can get that name to change. So change label to submit. It's going to be slow. Oh, there we go. It doesn't know what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. So I've had success off and on with just asking it to change label. Let's see if this doesn't work next, then I'll move on to something different. But let's see, change button text to submit.
And so you have to have the button actually selected, right?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, usually it's trying to work on whatever you have selected. There we
Selected.
go.
Okay.
So it didn't like change label to submit, but it liked change button text to submit. So there's a little bit of playing around with it. So but this is great if you don't know where all of the menu options are, or you don't want to have to go find them or whatever else. You could always come in here and change that text to submit right here if you knew where it was. And actually, in reality, it's probably easier this way. But if it's something that's hard to find and you can't find it initially, you can just start using Copilot, and it'll hopefully know what you're talking about. So change, I didn't like that it was blue on blue, so I can't really see the button very well. So change button color to red.
Real quick while it's thinking, Scott, we got a question from Dave. I have Copilot at work, but I don't see it in Power Apps or Power BI. I know for sure Power BI's Copilot isn't out yet, but I see yours is in preview. Is this something like admins have to enable, or is this Copilot the one where I believe it's only like enterprise accounts and you have to have like 300 plus licenses to get access to?
Wow, that's a good question. I don't know if I know the answer to that. This is my developer instance of the Maker portal, and so it's enabled in here. But I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer for you there. I didn't come prepared with that, knowing that information.
I think I know for sure admins can turn off preview features. Oh yeah, right back to our initial intro slide. How much we love Power BI licensing, or just Microsoft licensing overall. But no worries.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, go along.
Yeah. So I can keep going down the path of changing things around, maybe changing if things are bold or not bold. I can add a gallery if I want to. I can hit the refresh button here and see what else it suggests that I can do. So it already knows that it can add a form or a screen or a calendar. This calendar is actually pretty cool. So let's do that real fast before I move on. Well, it's not working as well as it did last time I did that. Oh, there it is. Okay, I just had it off screen. Okay. One of the things I need to do too is let's go ahead and play this and see what it looks like when it's being used. So we can use birthdays, regular calendar, US holidays in the pre-built calendar. And then we can just make some calendar. There's probably much better ways to use this in reality than just poking around, but we could set dates based on this calendar. This is another page that is in our app now. So we have 2 pages. We have a calendar page and we have the other page that I built. Yeah, let me get back there. Tree view, main screen. There we go. And let's run it from here. I didn't really build great navigation to get from screen to screen, so I got to do it this way. But here we go. Here's where we are in our app that I completely built for us based on, just kind of a brief description. And if I click on Oriental Carpet, now it's populated our Oriental Carpet over here. If I spent some more time to build some functionality behind the submit button, then we could get the submit button to actually do something when I push it. So we could do things like come in here, click on submit, and start messing around with the Power FX, statements to get submit to do something. That is, without going much deeper and in the interest of time, is my overview of doing Power Apps in with Copilot. So now, well, not completely. That's a false statement, but that was my overview of creating a new app using Copilot. So now let's talk about creating an app using an image, which is very interesting. And I'm excited about this technology, but very shortly here we're going to see that it doesn't work the best, but we're going to do it anyway. So let's go out here and let's say, hey, we want to create another app. So we're going to start, we can start with data, we can start with page design, which is what I'm going to do, or we can start with a template. They have several templates that you can just start from. But I want to start with a page design. So we come out here and there's a lot of different page designs that we can choose from, but the one we're interested in this at this time is an image or a Figma file. So we can come out here and say, yes, we have an image or we want to use Figma. Let me show Figma real fast before we get off topic. So this is Figma, and I haven't created an app using this yet. I just have started messing around with the interface, but it's kind of interesting. It's like you're trying to build an app before you build the app, so you're laying it all out, and then Figma gives you this file that you can download and then load into here, and then Power Apps takes it the rest of the way. After you've done all of the UI and layout in Figma, now Power Apps makes it something real that's really usable that you can send out to people. So that's cool, and I just need to spend a little more time with it, and I didn't have enough time to really show it any further than that. But I encourage everybody to go out there and check out Figma. You can get a free license, but then there's also paid licenses if you want more functionality. So converting an image to an app, and they have several different examples of what that might look like. And mine looks similar to this. Let me actually bring it up so you see what I drew earlier today. Here's my great handwriting, and this is what we're going to try to make into an app. And it looks way worse on here than it actually does on paper. I'm not sure what happened there, but we are going to use that file. So we're going to hit next. I'm going to name this, what was my, oh yeah, we wanted to do an auto service scheduler. So I thought if you go to your local dealership or get your car worked on and you want to schedule something and get a time to do that, we had a simple little app here that will help us out. So we have, do I have it up still? Maybe not. On our sheet of paper, we wanted to be able to collect first name as a text, last name as a text, the date and the time. Are we waiting? Yes or no? Drop down. The model of a car, and I just put in Dodge to begin with, and then a confirmation button or a confirm. I guess I should have put confirmation, but confirm button. All right. That's what we would like to have happened. I'm going to come out and choose that image. I had several different iterations, and this is the one we're going to choose today. It's recommending that this, based on the picture, the image, that we use phone mode, phone format. So we'll use that. We could also choose tablet if we wanted to, which is, a little bit more of a wide look. And let's hit next. So this is an interesting part of the procedure where it has tagged certain things, almost like AI Builder does, where it tries to determine, hey, is this a cat or is this a dog or is this a mule or something like something else? Well, here it's used that same kind of technology. I think maybe it's different, but it seems the same to me, where it's saying, well, these are text labels, and these are date pickers, and these are text input. And is there a rating? Oh, there is a rating. Yep, there's one rating right there. So it thinks that's a rating. It has done it incorrectly. I think it's kind of an obvious statement, but also we have guidance here, which will kind of lead us through how you want to set up your sheet of paper to get the right results. And I attempted to go through all this and make it right, but it hasn't really chosen everything correctly. So you could have check boxes and radio buttons and ratings again and sliders and toggles and all this good stuff that it attempts to read the right way. But let's hit next. Yeah, we'll connect it to Dataverse. Why not? What table do we want to connect it to Dataverse? Well, let's connect it to the contact table, since we're connecting first name, last name, and some other things. We're going to load that contact table. All right, let's hit next. So now it's drawing tags around the different columns, and over here on the right, it's telling us what it thinks the different columns are. So we have a text field, we have a L text, we have a time date, we have the auto service scheduler number, we have today, we have a waiting text, and we have a Dodge text field, which is kind of strange because I labeled them as they told me to, with labels above. So it's not really finding those labels. I'm just showing all the glitz and glamour of everything here. So let's hit next. Once again, review. Do we like these fields? Not exactly, but we're going to live with it anyway. And we'll create this app. So it's thinking about it. It's pulling all that together. It's trying to build the app the same way the Copilot did before, when we said we just kind of gave it some text input, or a description of what we wanted it to build. And we're going to find out that when you give it a description of what you want to build, you get a much better product than this. Although I still, as I stated in the beginning, am excited about this, and this intrigues me. This technology of being able to write something out on a piece of paper and then have it decipher and build it for us. So in all actuality, it's kind of built us this Frankenstein conglomerate of things, where it's put a last name up here, it's got a calendar, but then it's got a date time field down below. It's got a model field without any data in it. It says that it's waiting, but then there's really no drop down for that waiting. We have a rating of stars, and then I'm not sure what that label is under, but we have two two calendar fields. I haven't really done this. So I haven't even done this yet. So let's try this out. Let's run this guy and see what it allows us to do. It does give us calendar functionality, so that's interesting. In both places, we can choose our stars, so that's kind of cool. We can put in a model, so it didn't know what Dodge was, or that should be a car manufacturer, but I'm going to put in Ford there. I'm not sure where I got L text, maybe from last name. And then we have a date time, just text field. So yeah, so that's kind of a Frankenstein type of system. It's interesting. I'm excited about it. But if we're going to build something using Copilot, I would highly suggest, until this gets better, to describe to it what you want and let it build and go through that other process, because you have a lot more control, and you're not relying on it to guess what your paper says. All right. Any questions about that so far? All right. Oh, by the way, I think I briefly showed it before, but you can use a JPEG, a PNG, or an image file to create this. And yeah, we'll leave that alone for now, since it's kind of ugly and not good to look at. So we can use natural language though to write PowerFX formulas as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this guy alone. And I'm going to go back out to my Carpet Store inventory app. And we're going to let it load. And we're going to look at how we can use PowerFX natural language. All right. So let's once again get some more real estate here. Show this a little bit better on our screen.
Real question. I don't know if you saw this question from Darren. Is it building tables in the background to store the input form?
Yes. So in this case, and actually I just noticed this is not the one we just built. This is the older one that I built earlier today. But it does build a Carpet Store inventory table for us to store this data in. That other one that I created, I hooked into the contact table. So it was going to use the contact table and add any new fields to the contact table that it needed. But for this one, if we go into data, we can see that we have a Carpet Store inventory table and we have a carpet sales table. And that's just from two different times that I created this same map before. So we have these two new tables that are in the Dataverse. Right. So if I want to change, here we go, like this. If I wanted to change maybe the this field that's showing the carpet ID, we'll see that anywhere that we can use this technology or this functionality, it's going to show up and pop up our Copilot little little tab. There we go. That's the term I'm looking for, where we can text format, or we can do conditional formatting. So if I do text formatting, now we can start using, and this is not what I wanted, because this is not the free form. It's looking for, right, it's looking for desired this might be, let's see, text formatting. Let's try. Yeah, that's all right. Here we go. Bold. And all right. No, let's back out. Abort and come out here and do conditional formatting. So this is where we can say, based on a value. So in this case, it's suggesting if the search input 1, which is where we're at, equals DEF, then do not show it. We can do something similar to that, where we can start typing in, and let me think about what I want to do. If the value is 1, then make bold. Let's see if what it likes, if it likes this. So I've told it what I want to in natural language, and this is the PowerFX that it's come back with. It says if 1 equals 1, then make the color gold. That's interesting. Okay, not exactly what I told it, but we could click on that and say apply if we wanted to, and we could also copy that PowerFX formula and use it somewhere else if we wanted to. Let's see. Let's find a different field. All right. So here's some of the suggestions that it has for this field. which aren't great. Just it's all about do not show, hide, other things. If let's do field value and see if it likes that any better. Field value is quantity. Oops. Quantity. Then make font color red. So this is what it has told us now would be the appropriate power FX to make that happen. If this item, and it's given us the schema name of that item, I get, although that's probably not the schema name of that field, of the quantity field. So that's interesting. Of the color. Oh, if that equals quality, then let's make the color red. Although I have doubts that this schema name is the right field that we're looking for. So anyway, ups and downs in using this. I am also excited about the Power FX formulas, because I personally have issue with going out and finding the exact method or formula structure that I need to get something done. I do a lot of hunting and searching, and sometimes find what I'm looking for, other times don't. So when this gets better, I think I'll be using this personally quite a bit to do natural language to find the appropriate Power FX. All right, so let me get my PowerPoint back out here, and now once again, not what I wanted. So let's just talk about Power Automate next. So we're going to use natural language and Power Automate to create flows. So we can describe the flow, and the Copilot will hopefully create that flow for us. We can translate the description of the flow and the flow processes, which is kind of cool. So item number 2 and 3 kind of go together, where we can get an explainability. We can understand how the flow is built and how to improve it in standard language. I'm a consultant, so a lot of times the end users that I deal with aren't technology people, and they have a hard time sometimes understanding the flow that I built for them, and they want to know, oh, what's it do and what are the different steps? And I start showing them the flow and describing, and they get kind of glazed over. Well, this would help to give it to them in natural language, and not as a techie point by point flow structure. And then we can, like we were talking about in the Power FX, we can build these flows faster without having to search for the correct components. You don't need to know that you need to do a for each statement, or that you need to connect to the Dataverse, or a lot of the other things that you might need to do in a flow. Copilot will just know that for you, and will find those pieces and put it together. So let's go back out here and leave our carpet store inventory behind. And hopefully it won't take too long to close. I'll move this back over to my other screen as a reference for myself. Oh, come on. Oh, session expired. Interesting. Okay. No, let's start a new session. And we're going to go into flows this time. We were just in apps, and now in the left navigation, we're going to go into flows, and we're going to look at cloud flows. And before I build one, well, no, let's build one first. We can go into create a new flow at the top, and we can use the describe it to design it feature. So it has a lot of examples of, hey, you might want to try this. We know that this works, and we know how to build this down below. Or you can come up the top, and they also have more suggestions up here. Or you can just start freeform writing out what you want your flow to do. And because I'm not feeling very creative at the moment with a good example, I'm just going to choose one of the pre-built ones. So we want to every day copy a file from SharePoint to site to another. So let's just try that out and see what it builds for us. I chose the pre-built or the pre-suggested, not even built, but pre-suggested. And it's working on it. And now it's told us that the suggested flow is going to have a trigger, reoccurrence trigger. And then the actions in the flow are that it's going to get the file content using a path, and then it's going to create a file in SharePoint. So I guess you could say, hey, show different suggestions if you don't like these or you want to create something different. But we're just going to hit next. And it's showing that using my user ID that I'm able to log into SharePoint. If this is a larger organization and you have multiple or a service account or something like that, that's where you can name the service account to log into, whatever the different connections are. In this simple example, all we're logging into is SharePoint. We can hit next. And now we can choose our settings. Ooh, interesting. I need to choose a file path, which maybe is a bad idea because I don't have SharePoint really set up here. It won't let me create the flow. No. Okay. Sorry about that. Let me choose a different example. I forgot about not having SharePoint up and ready. I don't want to use SharePoint. Don't want to use SharePoint. Let's view something different. Let's do Excel. Excel's not going to ask me to log into it or have anything. So here we go. So if we do Excel, we have a reoccurrence. We're going to get tables. We're going to compose. And we have a for each statement. We're going to get the listed of rows. We're going to have for each statement. And then we're going to add rows to a table. Yep, I'm connected to Excel Online. And once again, unforeseen. Let's try this. Something just off the cuff that I hadn't planned for before. Right. So that I don't waste everybody's time, I'm going to use the escape route and go back and look at something that I built earlier today so we can show what it looks like. And not spend a lot of time bumbling around with that. So here's what I built earlier today. I built this with Copilot. It's a reoccurrence, get my profile and send an email. So if we edit this, we can see what Copilot built for us. I swear Copilot built this. I'm not lying. I didn't build this outside. This was built by Copilot. Let's see. Load. Okay, so we have a reoccurrence that we can set. We're going to set this every week. We can go out and we can. It's going to grab my profile, so I can select some fields that I want for my profile that it's going to get. And it's going to grab, and then it's going to send an email out from my Outlook to just a random mail address, my profile mail address. The subject is reminder, and the body is this is your reminder. So Copilot built this for us, but we can obviously go in and change it. I think a lot of the value here is that Copilot, well, in both situations, in Flow and in apps, is it creates that kind of that baseline that you need from the beginning. So you don't have to go through, well, maybe you don't know where all the different items are, so it helps in that way. But also you don't have to think through every little detail. It's going to build kind of a template, and then you can go through and add those details that you need later after you have the template that's been built. The one last thing that I want to show for Flow is once again, if I go into Flow and I'm not using the editor, but I let this go, I let this load, is we have this mining process. It's in preview, but it's pretty cool. This is the explainability that so you can understand how the flow was built and maybe even some suggestions it has for improving your flow. It is right here. So I already ran it earlier because it was taking a while to run, so I didn't want to have to run it again. Take everybody's time up once again. But this is for, I believe, if I remember correctly, although it doesn't really say, the flow that I was just on. So it's showing that in a summary that it's going to start, it's going to send a reply email, and it's going to end. Don't recall. Oh, it's ran 5 times, I guess. I think that's what that means. But it's given us other information about how many times it's failed, the number of runs, a lot of different great demographic or information about the runs and everything on it, how it's run. The map, I think, especially on a more complex flow, would be highly valuable for people that aren't technical to show them, instead of the branching out and where everything's going, which kind of get confusing. This map, I think, would be awesome to show somebody on what's actually happening in their flow. And then they have variant DNA. Well, that's not what I expected. Now, where does it show? I know it did somewhere. And I haven't looked at this for a little bit. It was showing, though. I thought it was in the variant DNA, ways that you can improve the flow, maybe to make it more successful. Yeah, I lost that. It's here somewhere. Play with it yourself. You can refresh the data. Oh, you can ask questions over here too. And I apologize, but I lost the portion that tells how to make the flow better and more efficient. But it does say that at somewhere at some point. All right. So we have been at this about 45 minutes. I have a few more things. And this is the portion. Well, I guess I'll stop and say, does anybody have any questions? Was there anything in the chat? I haven't been monitoring the chat recently.
Yeah, I've been monitoring for you, and there's a couple things we can bubble up, but we've been having some people answer.
Okay.
Typos. I've seen this when I use generative AI. It's able to typically infer from my typos. I think maybe you did gold instead of bold, but it was able to understand to use that bold. The question was, would boldface work better than bold, which seemed to be interpreted as a typo for gold? I think this is one of your earlier steps.
Yeah, when I not during this presentation, but when I was testing this out on, hey, what do I want to show? I did get it to work when I said change font type. Yeah, change font type to bold, and it knew what I was talking about there.
Got it. And so you were able to communicate a little bit more context, and it was able to understand bold.
Okay. Yes.
Next question. Just wondering, Scott's developer instance, is that MSDN or Visual Studio Enterprise or just standard free developer? I do have the free Office 365 developer program with 25 user license. Going to check it out, see if Copilot is activated there.
Yeah, mine is just the free instance that I have out on my own. It's not anything that's through my employer. Actually, it's through my yeah, it's just mine, but it has my my blog. I use my blog name as my environment name, so it's 365 thoughts is my blog. But yeah, so this is mine. This is nothing special. This is the free version.
Gotcha. And Taiki, thank you so much for the comments you've been making in the chat. But he mentioned, if you have a tenant like Office 365 developer program, you can add the Power Apps developer plan and AI builder trial. And I think you can just keep renewing that trial, kind of like with Copilot Studio, just endless trials. And that'll allow you to activate Copilot in your developer environment.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good information.
Yep. And last but not least, is there Copilot in Power Automate? I was able to confirm that, and I'm sure, yes, that's what we're seeing here.
Yep, that's what we're seeing here. Copilot and Power Automate. Yeah.
And that is it.
Okay.
Any other questions? For those that have questions and would rather come off mute rather than type it, please go ahead. Comments, questions, feedback.
I had a few more slides. I wasn't completely done. I was just done with the demo portion, but yeah, but I welcome questions right now as well.
I see hands up by Mr. Lucas. Lucas, what do you got to say for yourself?
Yeah. Absolutely. So interestingly enough, thank you for that demo there in creating an application. So the cool part and the scary part is that it's just only going to get better, right? And the ability
Absolutely.
to embed into different apps, dynamics, other external portals and things like that. It's just going to get better and better. So even though sometimes it could be a little bit clunky or produce results, just do undo. But give it a try. It's going to become. It's just only going to get better from here.
Right, right, and I like showing all of the reality of things. You know, the what works successfully, but then also, hey, it doesn't work great all the time. But I still will stand by my beginning statement on my opening slide is like, you should be using Copilot because it's not going away, and they're going to continue to make it better, and it's better to get ahead of the game and find out what it's all about now than trying to catch up later. So, yeah.
Completely agree with that. We were actually on another call earlier today, and we're saying, well, we're going to be estimating building out this Power Platform solution, but we also got to think about how much efficiency we'll get using Copilot even in preview for our time. We're not going to just hard code things for the hell of hard coding. If I can save a customer an hour because we use Copilot, why wouldn't we? So I think it's going to have some implications, hopefully, on whether organizations want to work with partners and whatnot. But Copilot should be used everywhere.
Yeah, and a little slightly off topic, but relevant based on what you just said there. I have a developer that I work with, and he writes code better and more efficiently than I do. But he uses Copilot in Visual Studio, and he loves it. And I've seen him; it's like he even knows what he even knows what he's supposed to do, but it's so much faster. He doesn't have to think about it; he just tells Copilot what to do, and it just does it for him. So it's awesome.
That is sweet.
All right, so let's talk briefly. I'll try to get done here in the next few minutes so I don't go way over on time, but so we can create our own Copilot, and this is huge. I've seen a lot of MVPs out there in the community that have started doing this. One in particular is creating a Copilot for the HR app in Dynamics because there isn't one that exists. And she thought that was a great use. So I think it's awesome. So you can go out and you can create your own Copilot. I'm just going to kind of read what I have here, but basically this describes it where you can add custom instructions. You can describe a personality that you want for your Copilot. And really it's a intelligent chatbot. It can be used for other things, but in kind of at the core, and what a lot of people are using it for is an intelligent chatbot. So you can give it a personality, custom instructions, what it shouldn't answer, and then the format of responses that you want from it. You can tell it if you want it to be to allow it to go out to internal or external sources. So you could say, hey, yeah, you can go out and use Bing or Azure or something like that to get your information. Or maybe we want it to either also go to our internal SharePoint or only to our internal SharePoint to answer the questions that the bot is asking. And then one of the cool things is that if we're using internal sources such as SharePoint or OneDrive or something like that, the answers will only come back based on what the user that's asking the question. Hopefully this isn't confusing the way I'm stating this. The user who's asking the question, it will only give information that the user has security rights to, which I thought was amazing. That is awesome. I mean, if you have a bunch of data out in SharePoint, but you're only going to allow the user to see what they have access to. And then just the generative answers that we saw before, but you can use it in your own Copilot where it understands user intent. It knew that I wanted euros, translated into dollars a little while ago. We can parse the relevant information, and it creates plain text responses. And sometimes the responses can be a little wonky, but it's getting better. And then a lot of times, even when in a non-techie type of application, it does really well with giving, hey, what's the what's the 4th of July all about? Well, that's Independence Day for the United States. It knows things like that, and it responds very well to things like that.
Love it.
All right. Real fast on, I swear I'll be done in like maybe 10 minutes or less.
Take your time. We're
okay.
loving this, Scott. Take your time.
Okay. I don't want to overstay my welcome, but
You're not.
Dynamics 365. This is where I live a lot, to be honest. So I use Power Platform in association with Dynamics 365. So I wanted to hit on this, and as Greg was mentioning at the beginning, Dynamics is already, but it is going to be named a Power App. It's already a very powerful Microsoft created Power App, but they're going to go out and actually officially state that coming up here. But in sales, some of the cool sales Copilot functionality, and this is some of the stuff that I was sharing with some of the my previous speaking engagements, like at the North American Summit and things like that, where you can create these follow-up emails on recommended actions. So we have we create email. We have a recommended action. Copilot finds a recommended action. Sorry. And then we can create a follow-up email based on what Copilot has seen in other emails or meetings that we have coming up. It'll suggest things that we want to do in Dynamics. Yeah, I said that completely wrong. I knew what I was trying to say, but what I meant to say is based on emails, we can on follow-up on emails using recommended actions. We can gear up for meetings with AI generated preparation notes. We can stay on top of our opportunities with Copilot will suggest ways to stay on top of our opportunities. Same thing with leads. So a lot of this is very much the same, but it does it in every situation that we would like for it to. Keeps track of our accounts, keeps track of our leads, keep track of our opportunities. We want to get ready for a meeting. It's going to help us with giving us some preparation notes. And the way it'll do that is it'll go in and look at all the recent emails or all of our correspondence, maybe even look at Teams communications and suggest things that need to be in the notes. And it learns along the way on how we do business, and will suggest things in the future that maybe it didn't do in the past. And then kind of cool, it'll go out, it's connected to Bing. So it'll go out and suggest or give us contextual news based on the account or the opportunity or the lead that we're on. And give us, in the, I think it's called the, I forget. It's one of the windows that's up there in the corner that you can enable, and I forget the exact terminology, but it gives you kind of a running ticker of the contextual news for the record that you're currently on. Customer Insights Journeys, which was formerly marketing, and normally I mess up and call it marketing, but I did a good job of calling it Customer Insights Journeys here, as Microsoft likes to do, change the name of everything about every 2 or 3 weeks. So we can set up email quiet times using natural language. So in a marketing world, we probably don't want to send emails out, or maybe we don't want to send emails out in the middle of the night, or we want to send out emails maybe I don't know, on a cadence, but we want to set up what those quiet times are going to be. So instead of having to know, and I know because I've done several of these types of projects, that trying to find all the settings for all these things buried way deep down in the settings is hard. So if you just know the natural language, you can say, okay, set up a quiet time from Friday to Sunday from 5 p.m. to, I don't know, 8 a.m. And it won't send any emails, and it'll queue them up and send them later based on that. We can create journeys based on natural language, which is also good because a lot of marketing people are, well, I found, this may not be exactly true, we're not huge techie people, so they look at the journey creator with all this branching and everything else, and it can kind of be overwhelming. But you can use natural language to help you once again, probably build that template that then you go into and just make the details to. And like I said here, you spend more time on creative instead of a lot of time on how do I create this journey. I love this, and this is one of my favorites. Whoops, hit the wrong button. Of leveraging Copilot to rewrite text, and so you can use different variations, and you can change the tone of your text. I tend to write very briefly, shortly, succinctly, and so I might write a 3-sentence email, but then I'm like, man, I'd really like that to be a paragraph or two or so. You can tell it to make it longer, and that's pretty awesome. Or the other way around, you have a big, long, multiple paragraph document, and you say, I just want the executive summary. Shorten that thing up for me. And then the last one is also pretty awesome, and I've used this myself, where we can build marketing forms and event registration pages that match perfectly to your website. And what you do is you tell Copilot, this is my website. It is, I don't know, google.com or microsoft.com or whatever your website is. Copilot goes out and looks at that website and tears down all the information about it and says, oh, these are the fonts that are used in this website. These are the font sizes. This is the color palette. It comes back and starts off all your pages based on the information that it found. Once again, it's a template that you can start from and build from later, but it's a great place to start from. And get that, get off on the right foot there and have everything match branding wise what you're used to in other places. All right. As I said, I'm almost done here. So the summary, I used a nice quote from the Copilot site by Microsoft. Let's work harder, be more productive, boost creativity, and stay connected to the people and things in life with Copilot. It's an AI companion that works everywhere to do and intelligently adapt to your needs. So thank you, and I'll open up for questions if we have time. This is who I am. This is my email. This is my blog site. So on to questions. Who has questions?
I think one of the things we saw in the chat was the requirements you need to be able to have Copilot. I think the tricky one was having AI Builder enabled in your tenant. So if those that don't have it, now that you know what to do, hopefully you can get this enabled and start using Copilot in your day-to-day.
Yeah, you definitely saw some AI Builder type of stuff sprinkled in there. Like with the form recognition, I've seen some AI Builder presentations where they're trying to, pick out, show a picture of a cat. Is this a cat or is this a donkey? Sort of things. And it was doing that sort of thing with the form. So yeah.
Lucas, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite topics, just everybody. So interestingly enough, is that we have been kind of helping this on the field service arena, right? Being able to basically ping or query different data sets or legacy ERPs and things like that to be able to have common problems or common resolutions to problems out on the field. So we're going to start seeing a lot of that with field service, with project operations and dynamics. And the next level is going to be kind of how teams and dynamics and everything, there's going to be a modernization, a modern app kind of, I would say singularity in which everything is kind of one and the same. It's going to be pretty fascinating. Copilot's going to be at the center of it. So we're going to see it pop up in places we've never seen it before, like estimating projects, estimating work orders, sales, customer service. It's just going to continue to permeate. It's incredible.
Totally. And I don't know if you were on when I was mentioning this, and maybe you can confirm, but aren't they like going to have dynamics not part of like just the Power Apps navigation portal, and it's all going to be like in like one place versus what they're doing in, like having the dynamics kind of like URL based?
You mean ERP
I
versus?
think that any of the D365 like ones that are fully on Dataverse are going to be able, like you can navigate directly from Power Apps.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. So sorry, because I tend to go on the ERP side. So I think ERP is going to start coming more into the Dataverse per se, right? So you're
Are
going
they
to be able
finally
to
going
have.
to do it in 2024? Please tell me.
Hold on, baby. Hold on. We're doing math homework here on the side. So if you notice I'm a
answer.
little distracted is why.
That's
So
okay.
so officially I don't believe no, but we're gonna start seeing a lot of modularity, for example, like warehouse management, things like that in Dynamics, right? And I think it's getting closer to the Dataverse kind of model. But I think we're gonna see more cohesion when it comes to modern workplace, teams, D365, Copilot, all kind of interacting and jumping together much, much more closer. I hope that answered your question a little bit. I just can't say certain things.
Not so much a question. Well, first of all, amazing presentation. Has really got me thinking about things I can try to experiment on with this. But something I was thinking about, so in terms of AI, you're giving it data to run models on, to train it. I wonder what its data retention policy is, especially if you're working with sensitive data. If you have visibility into that, or you have control over what it can actually hold on to for amount of time, or so don't expect an answer right now, but those are the kind of questions I'm having. Like I'm thinking about like data integrity and kind of data policy, data retention policy for the training models.
Just a quick intro. I'm actually from Microsoft product Power Platform engineering team, focusing on Copilot and generative AI. Yeah, thanks for a great session there, Scott. So for that data retention policies, we actually don't use any of the data or the prompts that's submitted to the any of our services for generative AI. So whatever you typed into the prompts, it doesn't actually get used or reused somewhere else for your learning, for the learning of our generative AI models. So it actually doesn't get any retention. We do actually keep it in our telemetry for 28 days, but beyond that, with GDPR and everything as well, we don't actually keep that either, and we don't use any of that telemetry information for our learning purposes either.
And that's one of the
Okay, great.
benefits of using the Azure OpenAI service, right? Is again, you have kind of this private connection rather than using a more commercial use case like ChatGPT, where you're kind of opening yourself up to that, right? I mean, because we're using a product, and but yeah, I think Microsoft is taking the stance, as Tyke is mentioning, within its whole power, like Copilot, as well as Azure OpenAI. It's kind of, they have the same motif and theme of security. I know everybody is wondering about licensing. I know I do want to get us yeah, exactly, a session on licensing soon. It feels like a lot of the licensing is still coming into clarity, right? Like there's pieces of licensing that's becoming public. They have a lot of trials out and previews. Seems like they're still kind of figuring some things out. So I think you take the previews and trials to your advantage. Use them, right? Like again, Copilot Studio, before, when it's Power Virtual Agents, I think I was using a trial for almost like 2.5 years. I know that's party's going to come to an end probably very abruptly, but it's hard to figure out what we don't know and what's still being figured out. That's for sure. I do want to thank you all for being here and kicking off 2024 with a fantastic user group showing. And Scott, thank you again for being here. Looking forward to an awesome 2024 in our Gen AI era. And I'm sure we're going to be seeing and hearing of Copilot much, much more.